This question comes from Gary Gambino in Parma, Ohio, who says he's been a Berkshire shareholder since 2004. He says the amount paid this year for the 41.4% stake in Pilot values the entire company at around $19 billion. That's about 6 times what BP is paying for Travel Centers of America, but Pilot's market share is just 3 times Travel Centers of America's. Was it a big mistake to base the final price on 2022 earnings, which has unusually high fuel margins?
Yeah. Well, that's a very good question, and the answer is that we arranged to buy it in 3 stages, with the third stage being at the option of the owner of 20%. The first stage, we bought at what turned out to be a very attractive price. The second stage turned out to be a very good year for the diesel business, which means that the seller got a very good price. And I would say that overall, we feel very good about the fact we own the 80% at the price that we do, but we would have rather owned if we just bought the 80% to start with. And the last 20%, the seller has the option, and that's always an unintelligent way of structuring something. We've had that arrangement with we had it with the Furniture Mart. We bought 80% of the Furniture Mart on August 30th, 1983, almost 40 years ago, and it's worked out perfectly. But when you give the other person the option, they've got some advantage. We have 80% now of a business we like very much, and the comparison to Travel America is really spurious, because Travel America is not only much smaller, but they rent all their properties. We have hundreds and hundreds of locations on the interstate that are zoned for what we commercial, and maybe 15 acres, or there's nothing like it. And they're not going to move the interstate 2 miles to the right or something, or anything of the sort. So we've got a position that BP may or may not have made a fine deal. I've read the prospectus, and I can understand. I mean, it's a big source of output for BP. But I like the management we have had at Pilot. I like very much the fellow who's coming in. That's the new CEO. I just have to tell you a little bit about Adam Wright, who's taking that job on. He came from Omaha. He wasn't selected because he came from Omaha. He came from Omaha. He came from North High, a public school that my wife graduated from. I've got grandchildren that graduated from there. He went to the University of Nebraska and almost set the rushing record in football, which will never be beaten because they've given up football. But I think he rushed for maybe 3,600 yards. He held 3 jobs while he went through there. He interned at Mid-America 20 years ago. His mother worked to put him through school. I mean, it's Horatio Alger squared, and we have him to manage Pilot. And the Haslams have given us a wonderful business. Big Jim, and my vintage. I mean, great people. And here we are. And I'm very glad we own Pilot. I just wish we bought 100% of it when I first made the deal, but that was not the deal.
Warner wasn't for sale.
It wasn't for sale. Yeah. And incidentally, the last 20% of the Furniture Mart wasn't for sale when we bought it, so we bought 80% of it, and that's worked out well. And we've done various deals various ways. The best way to do it is just write people a check and get the stock. But we did that with TTI, but you can't always make the same deal. If we like the business well enough and the people well enough, we will tailor it differently. But our preference is to write a check and own the whole place and keep the management in place. Got anything to add on it?
No.
Yeah, it's really wonderful to watch something like Adam Wright work out. I mean, basically, I don't know what his mother was earning, but he went to North High, which is probably 4 or 5 miles from here. Public school graduate, and worked his way up. Went for a short period to Pacific Gas and Electric, and we brought him home to run Pilot. And Pilot, the prices on diesel were way different last year. Pilot is close to $80 billion of sales last year, but more normal prices, it's significant, and it's half that or thereabouts, maybe a little more. But he is, I don't know how old Adam would be, but he's in his 40s, and he came up through the organization that Greg Abel was involved with, and now here he is running a very major business. It's good at Berkshire to be able to do that, and I don't, somebody else may have gone to more prestigious business schools or anything. So what? We've seen what Adam can do. Okay.